All right, happy Friday. Glad you have joined with us. Thanks for sticking with us through this whole week. We hope we have been a good part of your journey and given you some different ways to look at the passages that we're preaching on, as well as some practical skills on how to live as a disciple of Jesus Christ. We'd love to know more about what you think would happen or help. So if you'd email me at mglenn@brentwoodbaptist.com and put in the subject line 9 at 9, and that will kind of help us continue to target and focus these things where they do the best good for you. So we're at the end of the story of the road to Emmaus. Jesus has joined two friends as they walk from Jerusalem to Emmaus. They have talked, they have debated. Jesus has explained to them his life, his ministry, his death, his resurrection. As he preached through the whole Bible, they decided to stay to have dinner together. In the middle of that dinner, Cleopas and his friend recognize Jesus, and then Jesus disappears. Cleopas and his friend immediately get up and go back to Jerusalem. Now, they have just walked 7 miles. It is now dark. They've eaten dinner. It's at least 8:30, 9 o'clock. And now they're going to walk 7 miles back to Jerusalem in the dark. And they're going to find the disciples in the city of Jerusalem. The disciples were hiding, remember? So there's all kinds of ways that this thing could have gone wrong. But the bottom line was Cleopas and his friend were going to find somebody to tell that they had seen Jesus. Now notice what happened. They didn't have to go to any kind of training session. They didn't have to go to any kind of class. They immediately knew 2 things. 1, Jesus is alive. 2, who they needed to tell next. Anytime I bring up the E word, evangelism, which means good news, the first response I get is, well, we need to have more training on that. Maybe if somebody asks me some difficult questions, maybe I don't know how to explain everything. What if somebody asked me something out of Lamentations or Deuteronomy? How would I respond? And so in typical great Southern fashion, we spend all of our time fixing to get ready, but never actually sharing the gospel. We go to classes, we read books, we write out our testimony. We do everything in anticipation of one day sharing our testimony and telling someone about Christ. We just never do it, fixing to get ready. But you know what's funny is the people in my life who have good news, you don't have to prompt them. You don't have to prompt them at all. A young lady gets engaged, bam, international sign of engagement. She'll walk around with her hand straight up in the air, fingers extended, giving you one last chance to ask, hey, are you engaged? Grandparent, flip out a phone so fast and show you rows and rows and rows of baby pictures of the most beautiful grandbaby that's ever been born. People who have good news rarely have to spend a whole lot of time training. So here's my first question. Do you have the good news? Do you know Jesus in the first place? If you're going to introduce Jesus to your friend, do you know Jesus to make the introduction? Now, sadly, a lot of us grew up in Southern Baptist churches. I did. A lot of us did. Where if you weren't baptized by the time you were 12, then there was some serious social pressure for you to get baptized. And regrettably, a lot of us got baptized and never made a decision to follow Christ. So that's my first question. Do you know Jesus well enough to make an introduction? Second, just as Cleopas and his friend knew who they needed to tell next, that's always the story. Somebody encounters Christ and they run immediately to tell a friend. They know who they have to tell next. Who are you supposed to tell next? So at the end of the road to Emmaus, at the end of the resurrection appearance of Jesus to Cleopas and his friend, Cleopas and his friend are running back to Jerusalem to tell the good news that Jesus is indeed alive. They knew Jesus was alive, and they knew who to tell next. So those are your 2 questions today. Do you know Jesus well enough to make an introduction? And second, who is it you need to tell next? I'll give you 60 seconds, and I'll see you Monday.